people are clowns. The Democrats are clowns. They're being laughed at all over the world.
Look, you have no choice. Because the people we're running against are crazy. They're crazy.
These people are crazy. That's all they think about. They don't think about the country. They don't think about jobs. They don't think about lowering your drug costs, infrastructure. These people are crazy. Trust me, I like what we're doing, and I love this country.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we are going to take a look at the latest new Q post, and we're going to talk about riot politics and the Neo-Marxist insurrection that may be taking place across our nation as we speak. We're going to look at what that means, and we're going to examine a bunch of the news stories that matter to understanding how it all works, that the fake news is keeping from you. So you're going to want to stick around to hear that and a whole lot more. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. You guys know the drill. Thanks. If you've hit that subscribe button, if you guys haven't done it, it's really easy, simple. Just come here, click the big red subscribe button, then hit that bell and select all so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. Today, we're going to pick up with the latest new Q post, and we're going to talk about it. Then we're going to go through a bunch of other big news stories that are happening that you guys need to hear about, that the fake news either talks about in a way that is a lie by omission or it's a lie by deception. And we're going to talk about the truth of what's happening out there. And we're going to look at some of the facts. And you guys are going to want to stick around for that. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about the Brave browser. And to just let you guys know, this video is brought to you in part by Brave browser. If you guys use the link in the description, you'll help support this channel. And you can download it for free. It's an internet browser just like Safari, Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever you're using, it's better. And what you can do is you can download it for free on your laptop, your desktop, or your smartphone, and you can start using it. It'll block the ads. It's got a firewall, VPN. It's got everything, a bunch of features. It's 100% free. And when you make that download using the link in the description, they'll actually support this channel. So download it, install it, and run it on your computer, smartphone, or your laptop today. And you guys are really going to enjoy that product. Now, picking up right where we left off at Q Post 4612, 4613 is where we're at. CBS News, Catherine Herridge is what Q is pointing us to, talking about declassified records from DNI Ratcliffe, revealing that the FBI counterintelligence plus their security briefing to then candidate Trump at General Flynn, Governor Christie in August 17, 2016, 17 days after the Russia probe Crossfire Hurricane. According to docs, this was a run-through Agent Strzok plus Pienka, who later questioned Flynn January 2017, plus FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith, who based on IG FISA report allegedly altered CIA email to continue surveillance on Carter Page. And then it talks about defensive briefings are designed to warn campaigns they may be targets of foreign intelligence services. It says Pienka briefed for about 13 minutes and then writes, during the ODNI briefs, Ryder actively listened for topics or questions regarding the Russian Federation. So what does all this mean? It's kind of some heavy stuff to sift through here, but it's pretty simple if you understand what's happening here. What the scoop that's being given us is something that Q told us a long time ago, that these people, Strzok, Pienka, and Kleinsmith, would become important later. Why? Because, as it says here, they had already started their Crossfire Hurricane investigation into President Trump. And so 17 days after, they sat down to brief the then candidate Trump on what was happening, right? Saying, here's all the threat assessments, and they conveniently through this interview or this debriefing, forgot to mention the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, we're pretty sure that you're a Russian asset, so we're having a full investigation of you. Now, some people argue, oh, well, what do you mean? Of course they're not going to tell him he's the subject of an investigation. But as it points out here, very specifically, it talks about Kevin Kleinsmith, who altered the email, the CIA email, that basically laid out the fact that the whole investigation, Crossfire Hurricane, was predicated off of Carter Page's dealings with Russia. But Carter Page was actually working for the CIA to have these dealings in Russia. So they knew that, and then they doctored an email to make it appear as though they didn't. So can you imagine that? That this is bigger than anything else. And you think it's a coincidence, too, that Twitter comes out and they're trying to start censoring all the QAnon accounts right when the information starts coming out that proves everything that we said is 100% true, right? As far as this whole Flynn setup of President Trump and how the then candidate Trump was lied to by these intelligence organizations because they were trying to set him up for this fake hoax investigation, which they went ahead with, and in doing so violated the law, in my opinion, multiple times in multiple different ways. Think about this. What this is saying here, as I said before, is that they set up a briefing for then candidate Trump 17 days after they had already started their investigation using evidence that they knew was fake and false, meaning they had the connection with Carter Page and that was their endpoint, but they also knew through an email that had been sent to their office that Carter Page was working with the CIA. So every dealing he was having with the Russians was on their behalf, and he was reporting back to them to be debriefed on it, right? But they doctored the email to make it look like nothing was happening, to make it look like they didn't know that they were never told that, so they could continue their investigation into President Trump. So can you imagine? And then they sit down with him and lie to his face? Yeah, you know, as it says here in the next one, a defensive briefing is designed to warn campaigns they may be the target of foreign intelligence services. So they weren't warning President Trump about the fact that he was the target of a foreign intelligence service. They were framing him as if he was a target, or as if he was working with the foreign intelligence service, not a target, that he was actually an agent of them. And they were framing him using people like Carter Page, who they knew were not Russian agents. So, I mean, that's what I think this ultimately unfolds here. And, you know, you can read through the documents yourself. You can see what's highlighted here. I mean, it talks about all of these findings that she's pulling up here through reading through these documents. It's so important to understand what this means. And like I said, it's not a coincidence they're trying to censor us now as all this information comes out. It's not a coincidence that cities are being inundated with these communist, racist, violent thugs who are trying to fight police and burn down federal courthouses. None of this is a coincidence. It's all a part of an organized effort to destroy this nation, because the people like President Trump, his followers, General Flynn, and the rest are uncovering the criminality of previous administrations and how it's not what they present to you, you know, in this peaceful picture of our democracy and everyone's, you know, the peaceful transition of power. They did anything but that. They allowed President Trump to take control of the executive office or executive branch by, you know, letting him be inaugurated, but they did everything they could on their way out to literally set him up for a crime he never committed. And then they used that for years on end to spread lies about him, to effectively handcuff his administration's ability to get major reform done, especially as far as Congress goes, getting things through Congress. Because, you know, let's be honest, people like John McCain and others who were just complete rhinos, or whatever you want to call them, right? Some people would say traitors. You know, these people were undermining President Trump's agenda from day one, and they were being helped by their minions inside of government, the Obama leave behinds, the Bush, Clinton, Obama era, you know, SES types who came to think of this bureaucracy as their own personal fiefdom, kingdom, in which they were just a piece of the hierarchical chain and not beholden to the will of the American people, but beholden to the politicians who were beholden to the globalist puppet masters who we've talked about here on this channel ad nauseum in exposing what they've done. And I just, you know, I had to point all this out, but that's what Q's wanting us to look at. And obviously, you know, here we are. This is a big story. Q wants us to look at that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about here, Congressman Gates filing criminal referral against Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Now, if you guys remember here on this very channel, not too long ago, we did an interview with the Facebook whistleblower, the guy who came out to expose the fact that the way they moderate the content on Facebook is 100% or 90, or I think 70 to 80% slanted against conservatives, but it could be even interpreted as being more. If you guys want to watch this, I'll leave a link to it. But in this interview where I talked to Zach McElroy, one of the Facebook whistleblowers who came out and exposed all this stuff, the person who actually Matt Gaetz is predicating, I think, a lot of his lawsuit off of their investigative work with Project Veritas and the other whistleblowers there. This is very fascinating story. If you read through the actual indictment, we'll read it, the verbiage of it here. This is a letter, a criminal referral from Matt Gaetz to Attorney General William Barr. And I want you to hear these words. It says, "Dear Attorney General Barr, I write to urge you to investigate the conduct of Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook Inc. before the United States Congress. On April 10th, 2018, Mr. Zuckerberg testified in a joint hearing of the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee. The next day, Mr. Zuckerberg testified before the House Energy and Commerce Committee. On both occasions, members of Congress asked Mr. Zuckerberg about allegations that Facebook censored and suppressed content supportive of President Donald Trump and other conservatives. In his responses, Mr. Zuckerberg repeatedly and categorically denied any bias against conservative speech, persons, policies, or politics. Mr. Zuckerberg also dismissed the suggestion that Facebook exercises any form of editorial manipulation. However, recent reports from Project Veritas featuring whistleblowers who worked as Facebook's content moderators have shown ample evidence of such bias and manipulation. Two content moderators, one who came on the show here, Zach McElroy, and the other, Ryan Hartwig, both worked on the Facebook content review flow generated by Facebook's artificial intelligence program for flagging questionable content. McElroy worked at the Facebook Cognizant facility in Tampa, Florida, and Hartwig worked at the Facebook Cognizant facility in Phoenix, Arizona. On June 23rd, 2020, Project Veritas published the results of an undercover investigation featuring the aforementioned whistleblowers. The report revealed that the overwhelming majority of content filtered by Facebook's AI program was content in support of President Donald Trump, Republican candidates for office, or conservatism in general. This alone is already an indication of bias within the platform once flagged by Facebook's AI moderators. And you know, they talk about Facebook's AI. People have to program these algorithms, and even if they learn on their own, there are parameters that they have to work inside of, which are made by man. But it says moderators reviewed the filtered content and adjudicated whether it qualified as removable. According to the Veritas report and undercover footage, the adjudicators were outspoken about their political bias against Republicans and actively chose to eliminate otherwise allowable content from the platform and from public view simply due to its political orientation. This arbitrary and capricious behavior is not done in good faith and falls outside the expressed intent of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which affords Facebook liability protection as long as the platform moderates content in good faith. Additionally, these facts are in direct contrast to Mr. Zuckerberg's testimony before Congress, where he stated under oath that Facebook is a politically neutral platform and that he personally is working to root out any employees who are restricting speech based on Silicon Valley's overwhelming leftist culture. Project Veritas undercover footage shows that a great deal of political speech supporting the president was labeled hate speech or was considered in violation of Facebook's community standards. At the same time, speech promoting violence against the president and his supporters was labeled as merely political and was thus allowed to stay on the platform. For example, McElroy captured a shot of a Facebook corporate ruling that an illustration of a hand holding a knife slashing the throat of the president, captioned by F. Trump, would be allowed as political speech despite being in clear violation of Facebook's guidelines. In this case, the guidance to content moderators instructed them to watch for hostility directed at the gallery that posted the image. Are you kidding me? Oh, make sure they're not mean to the people who are putting the president of the United States in an illustration where he's being murdered. I mean, this is insanity. Facebook's AI screening content is not politically neutral. Neither are the moderators hired to review content flagged by the AI program. This stands in opposition to Mark Zuckerberg's congressional testimony and violates the good faith provision of Section 230 C2A of the Communications Decency Act. Accordingly, I respectively refer Mr. Zuckerberg to the Department of Investigation, to the Department for an investigation of political violations of 18 U.S. Code 1001, 1505, and 1621 for materially false statements made to Congress while testifying under oath. Oversight is an essential part of Congress's constitutional authority. Customarily, Congress is grateful to citizens who came forward or come forward with relevant information in good faith, as the aforementioned whistleblowers have done, as a member of this body, I question Mr. Zuckerberg's veracity and challenge his willingness to cooperate with our oversight authority, diverting congressional resources during time-sensitive investigations and materially impeding our work. Such misrepresentations are not only unfair, they are potentially illegal and fraudulent. Wow. You read through that, and it is 100% true. And it is a lie in Congress what they've done. So, I'll leave that for you guys to tell me what you think. Another story that's big out today, Ghislaine Maxwell, and I'll leave links to everything if you want to read through all of it. Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers are looking to keep highly confidential evidence from going public. Now, this is salacious evidence. Defense attorneys for alleged Jeffrey Epstein madam Ghislaine Maxwell want to hide from the public sensitive evidence ahead of her trial, including any nude photos and sexualized videos that will be marked highly confidential. Now, this comes on top of the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell, according to Chuck Colesto over here on Twitter, right, tells us that there's a breaking report talking about Ghislaine Maxwell has tapes of 2 prominent U.S. politicians having sex with minors. Yeah, that's why they're terrified. We're exposing this corruption that existed for a long time. And, everyone is really, everybody goes, oh, well, nothing's happening. That was 3 years and 2 years. And then all of a sudden everything starts happening and everyone doesn't know what to do with it because the information is so big. But yeah, I'll let you guys decide for yourself. I'll leave the articles and the links. Despite U.S. demand, China refuses to commit to closing its Houston consulate. Okay. It's not like they really can do much. So I just thought that was interesting because now they're closing down the consulates in China and trying to kick out U.S. diplomats. So it's kind of like a tit for tat here. But ultimately, a lot of people talk about these consulates shutting down and then burning all their documents as a first step before war. But I'm not sure it's going to be necessarily anything more than what we've had with Russia previously, a Cold War, and that these actors who have already, think about it this way. China, if they are responsible for not containing the plague, which is now in our country that the president calls out regularly, they are complicit in launching what you would consider possibly a bioweapon attack on our nation. And now their country is flooding. The Three Gorges Dam may actually break. If that happens, you're going to see loss of life beyond anything anyone's ever imagined. And it's just come to this kind of Cold War, in my opinion, where we're at right now. So even though a lot of people would say it's a hot war, we got to keep our eyes on what's happening there. Fox News cuts away from the White House press briefing. You guys probably heard about this story when they showed the footage of the Portland riots and how people were, committing all these acts of violence, lighting things on fire, destroying federal property, literally assaulting police officers, federal police officers. So, they try to paint this picture as everything is just, oh yeah, it's peaceful, it's majority peaceful, but it's really not. And even the people who go there who say it's peaceful, like I'll give you a great example. I just read a thread from Zach Voorhees, who is actually the Google whistleblower, who came out and exposed some of the things. You guys may or may not know him, but he just wrote a thread about how he went to that and it was actually not as bad as the media portrays it. Well, look, if you go to one event and it's kind of an anecdotal thing to say it's like a festival and everybody feels good. Well, yeah, everybody feels good and it's got a festival vibe because everything's shut down and everyone's going there trying to have this social gathering, right? Because the COVID pandemic, whatever you want to call it, which is the COVID shutdown where we're all under house arrest and forced to become slaves to these tyrants. So yeah, possibly there's a mix of good people in there. I'm not saying that it's all bad people, but the people who are, lighting things on fire, destroying the federal buildings, assaulting police officers, we have to recognize that they exist. There's videos of people trying to shut down highways. So I don't know. Let me ask you this, right? As far as I'm concerned, it's not the right of anyone to restrict my freedom, meaning you can't hold me and imprison me against my will. So if I'm driving down a public highway, which we all pay for and has been deemed, a space that you're not allowed to enter, Pedestrians aren't allowed on highways because it's dangerous, first of all, and second of all, it impedes traffic. It could keep people from getting to hospitals, or keep people from seeing their kids, or keep people from being able to, pick up their kids from school, whatever it is, right? So these people get on the streets, they block cars in, they start beating on the cars when they try to move and drive by them, and then you have people opening fire on these cars now because they feel like they're standing in the middle of a highway and they're being threatened by a vehicle in the highway. So if you have a breakdown of law where I'm driving as a free citizen on a highway trying to get home, and there's a group of people, I mean, we're talking like hundreds of people standing in the highway, beating on my car, calling me a racist, calling me a Nazi, trying to smash my windows in, cursing at me, threatening me, and then opening fire on me. And then as I try to drive away, they're opening more fire on me, and they're trying to literally kill me and my family if they're in the car, right? Are we just going to ignore that? Are we going to be like, oh yeah, they're just kids who want to go have a festival and be peaceful? It's like, why can't we just have ribs out in the highway and all get along? No, you're living in a fantasy world. Okay, these people want to destroy the laws that help hold society together. And I am not going to participate in their little rib fest where we can all eat ribs and sing Kumbaya in the middle of the freaking highway. No, get off the highway, get out of my way, and stop assaulting me, stop badgering me, stop restricting my freedoms, stop acting as tyrants in the name of trying to protest President Trump being some, sending stormtroopers in. It's like, or this all started from a guy who was murdered by a corrupt cop, right? So you take that one example, and now society's just throw away society? We're all going to live in chaos. It's going to be Mad Max every time I want to go to the grocery. I'm going to have to fight crowds of psychotic, racist, violent people. I mean, where does this end? And it's all manufactured. It's all calculated. That's the biggest problem to it all. Here's a great example of the woke culture and everything. I said this before. Everybody goes, why would YouTube censor you? Why would Google censor you? Why would Twitter censor us? Why would these big media companies censor themselves? Because they're going to lose money. They don't care about losing money. A&E, which is owned by Disney, lost 50% of its viewership after canceling Live PD. Why'd they cancel Live PD? Because it humanized police. And even though I decided not to watch it anymore because I realized that, the guy who runs it, the John Abrams or whatever his name is a complete leftist, and I didn't want to support his work, but that's my choice, right? Right? So even after they lose 50%, they don't care. They're willing to go bankrupt because they have to cover this up. They can't allow themselves to be exposed. They've already been exposed. I mean, Disney Cruises is having stops at Epstein's Island, and you're telling me, oh, I wonder why they canceled Live PD. I wonder why they're trying to help abet this Marxist insurrection in our nation using riot politics, instead of, general discourse that would be acceptable. It's because these people have failed at controlling the narrative. And now that they failed at controlling the narrative, they're desperate. And when they're desperate, they don't care if they lose 50% of their audience overnight. It's because that's not the point. The point is to control what you think and how you think. This very interesting. I'll leave a link to this. But this is an Irish man who kind of goes over what mask tyranny looks like. And it's a fascinating thing. You should definitely read it or listen to it. I'll leave a link in the description. But for time's sake, I'll just put that down there. Portland rioter shot with beanbags, claims he was peacefully protesting. But peacefully setting fires to federal buildings. It's like, guys, this is the kind of cognitive dissonance that they want you to think. They go do a YouTube video and show, look, man, I was shot by the police with these rubber bullets. I was just peacefully protesting. Does he not know that it's not peaceful protesting to light federal buildings on fire? I mean, is that just, or lighting fires around illegal fires on federal grounds? Are we just going to be like, nah? I mean, because that's what the level of the discourse is. Again, here's another story. Controversial gold advocate advances for Fed appointment. This is an interesting story. She's going to be, I believe, nominated to become a top Federal Reserve she's going to be the head of the Federal Reserve, and she's a big, or one of the heads of the Federal Reserve, I should say. And they have a system there. But she's a gold advocate advancing for the Fed appointment right now. So that's just an interesting story I wanted to cover. Media Matters going after OAN because they called QAnon the new mainstream, which we are. So good on OAN to get a hit piece from Media Matters about something that is definitely true. The fugitive in the Chinese consulate in San Francisco apparently has been taken into custody, so there's progress on that end. President Trump wants schools to reopen, but if they don't, he wants you, the parent, to get the money. And I think this is the smartest thing we could do. It's going to terrorize all the I don't want to say terrorists, let's say make the leftists realize that we're not going to pay for them to just sit around and do nothing while they destroy our country and teach our kids to hate it. That's the best way I could put it. So, you know, if that is taken however it should be taken however it should. But you take the money. Just take the funding away. Give it to the parents. And if you want to put your kid in a private school, put it in a private school where they will open. You know, because everything, all the evidence is pointing to the fact that this is just a big push for control. They're trying to control what you think, what you do, how you feel. And it is what it is. Space Command accusing Russia of testing anti-satellite weapons, something to keep your eyes on. I'll leave a link to the article below. Trafficking kids. I'll leave a link to this too. It's a news report you can watch quickly, but it talks about the fact that there were these French humanitarians, let's say, who went down to Africa and started trying to just take kids. And it reminds me 100% of what happened with Laura Silsby and the Clinton Foundation in Haiti. So you need to watch this video. It's a news report, where they basically caught these supposed child smugglers, and they're being held in detention in in an African nation right now. I can't remember the exact one, but read or watch this story. It's very important. Here we go. Jussie Smollett's outside protesting President Trump. I guess he wants the right to be able to, you know, put on hoaxes or whatever. This is a story we should all remember. Epstein Express shipped a $50,000 cement truck to his island 3 weeks before the release of this damaging expo. And this is something we have to look back on. If you guys remember this, you know, they covered it all up. All the tunnels, all the stuff, it's all been imploded and destroyed and covered up. But they can't cover up the fact that they were dumb enough to bring cell phones down there, and that the NSA was able to collect everything they needed to prove that these people are criminals, I believe. FBI arrests former Amazon and Microsoft executive over $5.5 million coronavirus relief fund fraud. Yeah, not surprised at all on that one. And the Austin police have released the driver who shot and killed an Antifa protester during a Saturday night protest. Now, this is another example, like I said, about the highways and the roads. And these people are attacking drivers, and they're trying to restrict your freedom to travel. I mean, that's literally the exact same as, you know, holding somebody against their will. It's like you are restricting them from moving. Therefore, you are committing a violation of felony against them. You know, whatever you want to call it. There's a few different laws that could probably apply there, kidnapping or others laws that may actually apply more closely to the crime here. But the point is, this guy started firing on a truck and ended up getting killed because the person who was in the car fired back. And what do you have? What choice do you have? You're driving down the street, and they're literally in the, you know, trying to smash your windows, pull you out of your car. They call you a racist. They threaten you, and then they start firing on you with an AK-47. What choice do you have? I mean, tell me the way to peacefully get out of that, and I'll gladly do it. But I don't see that there was any other way. And if the police release this guy, at least they're kind of saying, look, you know, this is what happens when you do this kind of criminality. So I thought that was interesting. I want to share this video. I'll leave a link to it below. But it is upset a woman doctor. This lady who is, I think her name's Dr. Emmanuel. She is intelligent, brave. She's come out in a press conference today in Capitol Hill with a bunch of other frontline doctors who are trying to expose the COVID hoax. And I'll leave you guys with this clip in the description below. So if you guys want to watch it, check the link in the descriptions for all of this stuff, because there's a lot of important stuff. And we'll go ahead and get to all of that. But that's going to be it. A few things before we go. I just want to say thank you for all your kind, you know, well wishes and prayers, and everything I'm going through right now. I need your prayers and your strength. You guys are so positive, so powerful, so you help me stay focused on my faith, and I hope I help you guys do the same, that we help each other. So thank you for all of your wishes, prayers, etc. I'm just so grateful. I wish I could respond to every single one of you, but I thought I'd just put it out there. Thank you for that kind support you guys have given me. Make sure you watch these videos, share them, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything. And don't forget to check out Just Informed Clips, which is the new channel, like I said, where it's basically replaced Just Informed Podcast, where I'm just going to give you guys these clips from the show, from all the different, examples of how the fake news is lying and covering things up. I'm giving you clips to show how they lie, how they deceive, this is going through my whole library. So we're talking years. I'm going to be uploading videos constantly on this channel, and I want you guys to come over here, get them, take them, share them, get the word out there. It's important, so go check out Just Informed Clips. Also, you can find me over on Twitter at JustinFormU, as long as I'm still here, we'll see. And also at informed_news, plus I'm on Parler at JustinformedTalk, which it's not pulling up right now, but here it is. Parler.com/just, and at JustinformedTalk is the handle over here, so go check that out. Plus, I'm on JustinformedNews.com, and BitChute.com/JustinformedTalk is the backup channel. And if you guys want to help contribute and keep this channel alive, please come over here and think about donating with Patreon's crowdfunding website. Monthly donation, your support keeps this channel going. And you can also find me over here on GoFundMe if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description below. Now, before we go, we do a segment called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today I want to talk about the light of the gospel. This is an important message for all of us out there in these times, so I hope these words touch you as they do me, and help us to understand how we can move forward spreading the gospel and working for Christ first above all else. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 through 6, and it says, "Therefore, since we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we do not give up. Instead, we have renounced shameful secret things, not walking in deceit or distorting God's message, but in God's sight we commend ourselves to every person's conscience by an open display of the truth. But if, in fact, our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. Regarding them, the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, so they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. For we are not proclaiming ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as slaves because of Jesus. For God, who said, 'Light shall shine out of darkness,' he has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of God's glory in the face of Jesus Christ." Now, I share those words with you because I want you all to remember that you are lights in the world. You are lights of the gospel. You can share the light. And we talk about dark to light all the time, and that's an important message. Imagine, you have this light inside of you, right? This powerful light that you can use to shine on the darkness, to help others see. Think about when you're standing in a dark room, how scary that can be, and then the lights come on and everything is normal again, and you feel that sense of relief. Well, that's what a lot of people are living like in this day and age. A lot of these people, it says even here that if our gospel is veiled, meaning if people can't see it, it's only veiled to those who are perishing, because the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. So think about that. I mean, a lot of people out there are just blinded to it because they're living in darkness. And our system as a whole does perpetuate this darkness through Hollywood, through films, through music, through culture, through all of these different things that we see on a regular basis, that darkness that is always there. And a lot of people never even have a chance to hear the gospel. So you just remember, you can't assume that everyone is veiled from it, which is why we have to keep sharing it, right? We renounce the shameful secret things, and we don't walk in deceit or distorting God's message, but we commend ourselves in every person's conscience by an open display of the truth. Meaning, if you tell the truth, you will be set free. God is with us if we just speak the truth and try to help and be positive and help others and show them the way, which is through Christ our Lord. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. So thank you all for watching this episode. And remember, hit that button, the subscribe button if you haven't, and also hit it, punch it, tap it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's it for me, though. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.